time for another episode of Makeup Gourmet Live. Hi, I'm Chris Scott, and I'm ready to get started with today's episode, episode 6, called The Sound of Airbrush. So much fun. I'm really looking forward to today's episode, and I want to thank you all for tuning in. And so first I want to talk a little bit about airbrush, and then I'm going to demonstrate some really cool techniques for you to learn and to understand sort of how you deliver the airbrush to the skin. And then we have a lovely model. We're going to do some demonstrations, so it's going to be really fun. So the title of the show is The Sound of Airbrush. So what does that mean, really? Well, when I learned how to put on airbrush, my trainer said, you put it on with your ears and not your eyes. And I said to myself, what the heck does that mean? But it became abundantly clear as soon as I started what that meant, which was you can't see airbrush when you're putting it on. You can see the mist, but it's so fine that as it's going on the skin initially, you really don't see what's happening. So what you learn is by the sound of your airbrush, you learn how much product is being delivered from the brush to the skin. So you really have to pay attention to the sound of the airbrush. And you'll see what I'm talking about as we start working today. So before we get going, I just want to remind everybody that during this episode, the live chat is open, and you are definitely urged to ask questions. You can ask questions about airbrush or anything else. Also, if you want to type in any topics for future episodes, that would be great, because we can, we'd love to sort of represent what your needs are as makeup users, and what your biggest challenges are, and how we can help you solve those, because that's really important. And I just want you to know today that we have a featured product today, but it's a sort of a regional featured product. I usually give away a product that I'm using, but I'm not going to give away my airbrush. But if you are local, or if you ever hire me to do your makeup, today's winner is going to get a free airbrush with their makeup application. So I do your makeup. I use traditional makeup. Generally, that's me using the the liquid foundation with a brush. But with this, you can have the airbrush application, and it won't cost you anything extra. So that's the special featured product today. So hopefully that will go to someone who lives locally. Well, it has to, so that you can take advantage of it. So why does airbrush exist? Why is it there? Well, the reason why airbrush exists is because when high definition HD first came out, what we were noticing on the screen was that we were getting a lot more visual information, like 4 times the amount of visual information. And in doing so, what happened was the makeup that we were doing, if it was just a little bit too much, it was 4 times too much on camera, and so things looked really hideous. So we had to figure out a way to be able to smooth out the skin, apply makeup, so that when the information was sort of magnified, if you will, that it still looked good on the high definition camera. So that's really sort of the reason why, in my opinion, why airbrush makeup even came into existence as far as makeup artists are concerned. But what happens is, for now us, the lay people, we all have high definition cameras now, right? We all have, we buy those little tiny cameras, but they're shooting in wicked HD. And so if I do a wedding makeup, or if I'm doing makeup for a special occasion, often people are being videotaped. They're having their picture taken with high HD lenses, and they don't like what they see. They feel like, oh, the makeup looks like too much. Well, why doesn't it look good? So that's why airbrush really is sort of a good new player in the makeup game. Do you have to use it every day? Heck no. Because in day-to-day life, we can't see the difference. You know, you can just use your normal makeup and you're going to look great. But the minute it gets magnified by high definition, that's when we're in trouble. Because even though it looks really good in person, it doesn't look good on camera or in video. And often, you know, that's what we look at later and we go, oh God, do I really look like that? But you don't, because you don't see that much visual information in person. So let's talk about what is the techniques that we use for using airbrush. And again, the question is airbrush better than regular foundation? And for all the reasons that I just stated, it's not necessarily better. Like I said, day to day, you're going to look just fine. But that said, I mean, as a purist, I want to say, no, they're both the same. But as a realist, heck no. HD is awesome. I mean, airbrush makeup is awesome. It goes on so smooth, it looks so good, and I say to myself, God, I wish I could apply my makeup with a brush like that as well, but I can't. So I do think airbrush makeup does have a nicer finish on the skin just by the sheer delivery of the fine mist. So let's talk about the technique of airbrush and the sound of airbrush. So I'm going to turn one of my airbrushes on, and you're going to hear it. Little humming noise. And so when you're using an airbrush, the way my brush works is I push down on this little lever so it's releasing the air. So there's air coming out now, but not product. But as I pull back on the little lever here, product starts to come out. Let me see if I can get that closer so you can see it. We'll do it right in front of this board. And then as I spray, yeah, it's really hard to see. But because it's such a fine mist. But when you're doing airbrush makeup, you're doing one of two things. It's called dots and dashes. That's all you're doing. Now, often if you see videos and you see someone putting makeup like this in a circular motion with an airbrush, you probably don't want to sit in that person's chair. I'm not poo-pooing how they're doing foundation, but what they're basically doing is just covering your face in circles and uniformly applying your foundation, so you're just kind of covered. And so you might as well just do that with regular foundation. The purpose of the airbrush is it has so much finesse. And so let me demonstrate the dot. So really all the dot is holding the airbrush directly perpendicular to the skin and just pulling back and pulling away. See that dot up here? That's all it is. Now the purpose of the dot is, as you're working on someone's face, they might have a blemish, a dark spot, a patch of redness, and what you're doing with the dot is you're just slowly adding the product. You can see how it just sort of comes to life. Isn't that cool? I love this thing. The first time I picked this up, when I was training, Rocky Cosette was the gentleman who trained me. It was amazing. I freaked out because I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And he just started laughing because I am an excitable boy. But watching what he did, and then when I started doing it, I was like, this is so amazing. So I sat around doing this a lot. Now the second thing is called dashes. Now dashes are how you apply a stream of the airbrush. So no circular motion, it's a back and forth motion. So what you want the dash to do is you want it to slowly start, build, and then slowly disappear. So it's this gentle squeeze and then release. Squeeze and then release. And you can see that line just comes into life and then goes away. You don't want a strong beginning, you don't want a strong end. It's just a dash. So you see those soft, smooth strokes, right? Very, very fine strokes on the skin. And that's called the dash. And so when you're doing airbrush makeup, I'll just keep doing this because it's so much fun. When you're doing airbrush makeup, you should only be doing dots or dashes. And this sounds stupid because, really, is that all there is to it? Guess what? That's all there is to it. No, of course, there's a lot more things you could do with airbrush. But really, learn this first, because this technique is what you're going to use for all your advanced techniques. So we're very lucky today because my lovely, lovely niece, Jessica Price, is here, and we've already done half her face. So everybody, please say hello to Jessica Price. Oh, hold on for a second. There she is.
Hi, everybody. How's it going?
Wow, the crowd loves her.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. So what we've done with Jessica is, I did a soft makeup on the whole face. Now on this side of her face here, I already used the airbrush, and you can just see how smooth the skin looks. it's lovely, and you don't see foundation, you just see light reflecting evenly of the satin finish, because that's what you want. You want your skin to look and behave like regular skin, not like makeup skin. Now slowly turn this way for me. Now you see on this side, Jessica's natural coloring, she has a little bit of patterned redness, a little bit of unevenness, and so I'm going to do the airbrush makeup on this side of her face today so you can experience the sound of airbrush, because what's going to happen is you're really not going to see the makeup as I'm putting it on until it's on. And I know that sounds weird, but as I'm putting it on, you're just not going to see it. But then all of a sudden, she's going to turn. You're going to go, wow, everything's perfect. Because you can see right here, come back this way. You can see right here, she's got that. She's going to sleep. Wake up! She's got that pattern redness going. Okay, so straighten your head up for me. Open your eyes. She's got that pattern redness going on right through here, right, but not over here. So when we get done, just try to remember the beautiful balance that's going to happen. So slowly turn that way for me. All right, I'm going to stand up while I do this. It's kind of a awkward position I have to get in to do this, but that's how it is. And so don't forget, if you want to have any questions, please pop them out. So this is my airbrush. So as an airbrush artist, you really want to introduce the model to the air, because watch what happens if I don't. See how she chumps? I can do that all day. It's kind of fun. No, I'm not gonna do it all day. That's cruel. But you don't want to shock your model. So close your eyes for me. So really, the thing about airbrush is you want your model to be very calm and relaxed, because if you tense it all, the airbrush is going to get into those fine lines. So she has some redness right here. So I'm going to start with some dots. What I'm doing is just where I see a little bit more of collected pattern redness, turn a little bit more to your left. I'm going to just give her a couple of dots like this and come back to me. And right here, close to her eye, I'm going to put a little bit on here. I'm going to stop for a second, open for me. So I did some dots, and you can see already how the redness has just started to evaporate. I mean, that's how it looks like to me when I do it. It's not like the makeup goes on. It's more like the coloring in the skin, the redness or whatever, it kind of evaporates. It just sort of starts to go away. One thing that I want to show you is before you put the foundation on, which I didn't do, this is a good time to use your concealers, but I don't use a concealer. I use a corrector. So this is the Makeup Gourmet Pink Corrector. It brightens the skin. Look up for me. It brightens the skin as well as neutralizes darkness. And I apply it like in that check mark shape, as you can see, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to flatten the appearance of the circular bone, because you know how light hits us. It wants to capture this bone, and it wants to kind of make our eye look sad. It wants to pull it down. So by doing this check mark shape, we're brightening the darkness, but we're also making light reflect off the skin differently. So it flattens right here, and so we get a smoother appearance to our under eye area, and I'm just flattening it down. Something I want to point out, I already did all the makeup on this side of Jessica's face except for the blush. That's right, because today Jessica's a very happy woman, because visiting from England is her very talented and quite handsome with Hugh Grant hair, Ewan. And he did the blush for her on this side. He learned the 3-2-1 technique of blush, and we were very impressed with him. So when you're in London, now apparently there's 100 railway tavern pubs, but you want to go to his, because he cooks there, and that's what you want. You want what's your favorite thing to cook, Ewan? Steak. Steak. Got to get a steak from Ewan. Okay, so, and look how if he cooks a steak, how he does blush, you know it's gonna be a good steak. Okay, so I put a little bit of that pink corrector on to brighten up the eye. Now let's get back to the airbrush. You can see it's crazy. It takes such a small amount to get the job done. So now I'm gonna do some dashes. So you can see how I'm just sweeping back and forth. Turn a little bit away from me. How I'm just kind of sweeping back and forth. And you can hear how it increases and then goes away. That's the sound of the airbrush. That is, come back to me a little bit, that is the sound of the product being delivered. Because I seriously can't see it until about 5 or 6 passes. And then I go, oh, there it is. I did half of Jessica's nose, but not the other. So I'm going to do that right now. Little short passes. She's got a little bit of redness and a little little veins right here by her nose flare, so I'm going to do some dots there. So you see how specific the airbrush is in terms of, open for me, and look straight at the camera, bring your chin up a little bit. So you can see how airbrush is very specific. We're not just covering the face with foundation, but we're really selecting what needs to be, looked at, and we address it with either the dot or the dash. How does that look to you?
I think it looks great.
Isn't it amazing?
It looks really different.
And we barely used any. Turn towards me completely. I just want to see how you look. Okay, come back to center. So I'm going to do a little bit more of the hard part, but Jessica's a really good model. It's really hard often to work close to someone's eyes, because what happens is the air makes people tense, and when they tense, the little muscles create little fine lines, and then when they relax, the airbrush is kind of enhance those little fine lines, and nobody wants enhanced fine lines. Let me see how she looks. Good. Turn left to right for me very slowly. This is the side we did before, and now come back. Now you see with such a small amount of foundation how immediately she's smooth, gorgeous, perfect. I'm very impressed with you. I'm going to finish up her makeup. So what I like to use is HD powder. And really it's just pure white powder. There's absolutely no pigment in this. And why that's good is pigment is bigger than powder. So when you put it on the skin, it's bigger. And so it kind of sits on top of the foundation a little bit. So the purpose of high definition, or airbrush makeup for high definition is you really want the makeup to be like skin. So using the finest powder possible is the way to go. This should have been the product that I was going to give you guys today. No, but instead it's free airbrush. Oh, 1 second. Oh, so someone said Jessica looks great. Well, I think she looks great too, because she's fun. Please pardon the somewhat abrupt ending to the live event. The video is going to continue. What happened was we were streaming up to 12 hours, and after 12 hours, YouTube stops recording. So I want to share with you all the information you missed in this carry-on in my director's cut form. So here we go. So the one exciting thing that you missed was Jessica's beau, who is visiting from London. His name is Ewan. He was mentioned earlier in the broadcast. He stepped in and did the blush for Jessica on the other side of her face when we did the contouring and the blush. He used the 3-2-1 technique, and he was brilliant. I had taught this technique to Ewan, and understand Ewan is a chef. He's not a makeup artist at all. In fact, he's never applied makeup to a woman before in his life. But he handled the brush so well that I just sort of off the cuff said, "Hey, Ewan, why don't you do the blush application?" And he did, and it was great. And I'm sorry that you don't get to see it live, but he was brilliant. I do want to let you know that he does live in London, and he works at the Railway Tavern Pub. Apparently there's a few by that name, but if you can find him, please go in and say hi. Apparently he cooks a great steak, but I'm sure anything he makes for you will be fantastic. And he's also just a really nice, charming person to know. So I was happy to meet him, and thank you, Jessica, for bringing him along. So the next question really is, what is the best airbrush to use? So, and what I mean by that personally is that I can't sell you airbrush hardware or software. I mean hardware meaning the compressor and the brush, or software really meaning the actual makeup. But with Makeup Gourmet, I do have a complete cosmetic line, which I worked very hard to develop. And so if you are looking for a product, I have a complete women's and men's skincare line. I also have a complete color line, and that means everything. Eyeshadow, lipstick, eyeliner, blush, all the good stuff. And I'm really proud of what I put together. It's the product that I represent in my book, Face with a Heart, Mastering Authentic Beauty Makeup. The other thing that I really stress are affordable brushes, because brushes can be really pricey, and you think, oh, my makeup's going to look better because I buy a better brush. Not necessarily the case. Now, yes, there are brushes that are not great out there, but the brushes don't have to cost you an arm and a leg, because if you put your makeup on every day, they get a workout. You want them to be good tools that are effective. So anyway, I have a great line of affordable brushes. Also, I carry supplies. A lot of makeup artists buy this, but I have a great quick dry brush cleaner, a great way to clean your brushes in between use. So from day to day, just like your silverware, you want to clean your brushes every day. I have wonderful supplies. Um, Beyond the quick dry brush cleaner, disposable lip brushes and mascara wands that many makeup artists use, and all of that is available online at makeupgourmet.com. Now, usually I extend a 20% cart discount through midnight of the night that I broadcast live. However, since we had this hiccup with this broadcast, I am going to extend it until my next broadcast, which would be next Tuesday. So now until next Tuesday, July 25th, 2017, you can get the 20% cart discount. And the code is MUGLIVE16, MUGLIVE16. And so just fill up your cart with stuff and put in that code when it asks for the coupon code, and you get 20% off everything, even services. The one thing you will not get a discount on are my value bundles, because they're already more than 20% discounted. So if there's any value bundles in your cart, you'll get an error message. You have to take those out of your cart and buy them separately, but they're still so worth it because it's less than 20%. So just want to let you know about that. I'm extending that offer to you. So again, let's go back to what is the best airbrush to use, since I don't sell one. Well, the brand I use is Ket, K-E-T-T, Ket. Ket Cosmetics. They're located on the East Coast in the U.S., in New York, and it's a great group of people. Their integrity is so high, their training is so high, their product value is so high. What really sold me on them is that their foundation uses jojoba oil, and that was the clincher for me when I was creating my brand. Was when I discovered jojoba oil for foundation, that was the game changer, because jojoba oil is oil found in nature that is closest to our skin's natural oil. So what that means is your skin really identifies and absorbs very easily the jojoba oil, but also when your skin produces oil, rather than it separating the foundation, it complements it. It absorbs into the jojoba oil, so the integrity of the foundation really lasts well. So either with Makeup Gourmet foundation or with the airbrush foundation, you really get good, long-lasting finish. So Ket Cosmetics, located on the East Coast. So I just look at it this way. If you're east of the Mississippi, look up Ket because they're just closer to you. But here on the West Coast is a great group of people as well who I really respect, is musebeauty.pro, and they're the West Coast distributor of the same product. So if you're looking to get any airbrush hardware or makeup, I would go to them. Well, for one reason, they're the only people that sell it. But secondly, they're just a great group of people. If you need to learn how to do airbrush, however, that is something that I do, and I am in San Francisco. My studio is in San Francisco. So if you're a makeup artist and you want to learn how to do airbrush, or if you're a person who wants to learn how to apply it to you personally, because you just love the idea of airbrush, well, that's available to you. So if that is something that appeals to you, by all means jump on it, because I'm telling you, it is thrilling to use the airbrush and watch it being applied on yourself. It's really, really fun. So moving on, if you want to appear on Makeup Gourmet, by all means do. Just send me an email at info@makeupgourmet.com, info@makeupgourmet.com. What I will ask you is, what is your biggest makeup challenge, and we will investigate that during your episode. Most of the episodes I've done so far were based on the model's challenge, if you will. And it's great for me because I end up doing things that I wouldn't normally choose to do because I wouldn't even think to do them. Like we did an episode on décolleté care, and we did an episode on makeup for glasses, and all these are great things and great information that people want to know. So if you have a great makeup challenge, let me know. And if you're visiting the Bay Area or you live in the Bay Area, love to have you on. You definitely get product for being on the show. So that's really fun as well. And you become a YouTube star, and that's really exciting. So I want you to know that all the techniques that I use are techniques that I have developed in my years of being a makeup artist. I wrote a book. My second book is called Face with the Heart, Mastering Authentic Beauty Makeup. I'm really proud of this book. It took 4 years to create and develop, but it really is a synthesis of all my technique. The book is an international bestseller. It's an Amazon bestseller. And I do suggest if you want to get the book, buy it from Amazon. And the reason why you should is because when you do, you also get a free ebook. And that's something I can't offer you. I do sell the book on my website as well. But if you are an ebook person, then it's sort of worth your time to buy it from Amazon. And remember, every copy that you buy is freshly printed. I use a print on demand, so the books aren't sitting on a shelf somewhere. You get a super fresh copy when you buy it from Amazon. And so that's the way I would go about it. And that would be a way for you to really understand my process more, and also then start to dive into my website and all the tutorials that I do have online. So if there is a topic that you'd like me to cover but you can't appear on the show, by all means, suggest the topic. Again, the same email, info@makeupgourmet.com. Tell me what is your biggest makeup challenge, what you would like me to flesh out for you so that you can get better at this type of makeup application. I have so much to show you that I have hundreds of ideas for episodes, but these are things that I want to do, and really I feel like if you tell me what you want, other people are also in the same boat as you, and it's really nice to hear from you and be able to satisfy what your concerns are. So if you are interested in suggesting a topic, by all means do. So I want to share this with you because I think this is pretty awesome. Two cool things, as I like to say. One is recently I did a video called Thank You YouTube, because I had 27 countries tune in with my last episode, and I thought, wow, that's great. Well, with this episode, because we had already taped it, we had 30 countries tuned in live. So when you're watching this show, you're not alone. And I really thank everybody who's tuning in from around the world, because that's really fun. And just a reminder, now until our next show, it's a 20% cart discount at makeupgourmet.com. The coupon code is MUGLIVE16. That's 16. MUGLIVE16. That stands for Season 1, Episode 6. And so just plug that in and take advantage of getting really good product at a really good price. You'll find that my products are extremely affordable anyway. However, getting 20% off that is even more of a bonus. So I really want to thank everybody for tuning in, obviously, because I love sharing my expertise with you, and look forward to having more of a conversation with you so that I can really understand your needs and really show you what I think are the best ways to solve those needs. Because makeup is easy and fun, and it should be, and a little bit of technique goes a long way, and so that's what I want to share with you. So next week, Tuesday, July 25th, will be our next show, and the show is to be announced. I haven't decided on what I want to do yet, but I will very shortly, and I will be announcing that. Again, if there is a topic that someone is very interested in, by all means, shoot that towards me, and I will consider it for the program. So without further ado, I just want to say thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing everybody next week. Take care. Bye-bye.